I am clearly not giving up when it comes to XPR. I get it. Things aren't looking the best as of right now, but in my opinion, this could be something very special, let's say near the end of 2025, because I just don't think this burn is over. Really, I just don't. And even though nothing I say is financial advice, XPR going to the price of 25 cents, that's still my price target for this run. Now, people may find that hard to believe as of right now, but keep in mind, historically, we haven't seen the peak of the bull run yet as a worst case scenario. Why do I say that? Because we're not even a year removed from the last Bitcoin halving event. And historically, we do know that usually altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. Again, we're not even a year removed from then, right? So if we do some basic math, again, April of 2024, 18 months from then, that's actually around October this year. Again, historically, as a worst case scenario, as to when usually altcoins peak. So, yes, there's going to be some volatility, but the way I view it is that if I loved XPR months ago, if I loved it weeks ago, I love it even more right now. Because of course, some people may view low prices as a bad thing, but for me, the lower something is, the more room it has to grow theoretically, and also logically, right? The more I can accumulate at a lower cost. So I don't think this is really a bad thing. Now, of course, I get it. Some people out there don't like to see their portfolio go down. They don't like to see, quote unquote, the portfolio again not doing the best, right? And I totally understand that. But for me, I could care less about what happens in the short term because I'm more so worried about what could this be near the end of 2025. Whatever happens to my portfolio next week, in the next 3 days, 5 days, 2 months, I could care less really about that because I'm still accumulating. My strategy is literally so simple. So anytime I acquire income, I acquire XPR, I hold, and I just wait. Literally, that's it. And some people may think that, oh yeah, man, okay, you could do that, but XPR is gonna go off into the abyss and all this. Well, I disagree. As long as XRP, which is not to be confused with XPR, by the way, again, XRP and XLM, as long as those two giants still have a future, as long as they still have a good following, XPR is going to have a place. Now, why do I say that? It's because the XPR network, it's pretty much focused on the same aspects as, Ripple and Stellar, really. Okay, think about this, right? When we take a look at something like Pepe, that's not going to go off into the abyss because as long as Dogecoin and Shiba Inu has a good following, which it does, Pepe's gonna have a place, right? No difference when it comes to something like XPR, but in a much smaller scale, of course, in my opinion. Now, we take a look at the XPR network. It allegedly is ISO 20022 compatible as a blockchain. Now, why is this special? It's because when people are thinking about getting into this space, they're looking to get into, these projects that are focused on the payments market, the global trade and finance market. They usually look for stuff like this. And why is ISO 20022 so amazing, right? It is because it is currently being used by many financial institutions from all around the world for inter-organizational data exchange. So this is something that's already being used, by the way. It's not experimental in a sense, right? It's not something that could be used. It's already being used. And again, the XPR network is ISO 20022 compatible as a blockchain allegedly. So when it comes to pure fundamentals, does it really lose out to Stellar and, something like Ripple? I don't really think so. Now, when it comes to the fans and the hype, I totally understand that. But when it comes to the fundamentals, this isn't lacking. And when the market does pick up again, this is going to be a big narrative because sometimes people they're looking for the miniature version of like an XLM or XRP. Could this be that? Maybe because it shares a lot of the same aspects, but then at the same time, it's much lower in market cap. So I think it's a no-brainer for me. And as of right now, I think what we're seeing kind of reminds me of like, that February or March time back in 2021. Think about this, right? During that time, let's just use this as an example. Did many people think that, Shiba Inu was going to reach around a $40 billion market cap months later? Or did they think that, something like Dogecoin was going to reach over $80 billion in market cap a couple of months later, or should I say a number of months later, right? I don't think that there was a large amount of individuals who maybe thought that. I mean, of course, the people who were bullish on them thought that that could have maybe happened, right? But then, generally speaking, a lot of people probably were not really believing in that idea. So the way to take a look at it is that, am I saying that XPR is going to be the biggest project of all time? I'm not saying that. It's not going to defeat XRP. It's not going to defeat XLM. I'm totally aware of that. But it doesn't really matter because if XPR were to go to the price of 25 cents, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $7 billion. Really peanuts in the grand scheme of things, but that right there is already around a 56x from here. So just let that sink in. XPR doesn't have to do the best in order to hypothetically do very good, at least in my perspective. And take a look at why this porn isn't even over. Coming from an individual, which I think has a lot of reputation, he has a lot of presence in this space. Take a look at Charles Hoskinson, founder of Cardano, co founder of Ethereum. Back in November of 2024, he said that 1 to 2 years from then, he could very well see Bitcoin reaching anywhere between $250,000 all the way up to $500,000. I mean, just think about this, right? Charles Hoskinson's worst case scenario price prediction for it in the next 1 to 2 years, again from November last year, is at a minimum $250,000. Bitcoin hasn't even reached half of that, you know? So the way I take a look at it is that this is something that is still far from over, in my opinion. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that I'll be correct or anything like that, but I just think that this run is far from over. I think XPR still has a very bright future, and I just don't think it's going to disappear anytime soon. XRP, XLM, it has too much hype, too much of a good following. I think the crypto space as well, because we take a look at how there's over 600 million crypto owners according to crypto.com research, which may seem kind of like, not that much in the grand scheme of things, right? But then really, when you take a look at the peak of the 2021 bull run, where there was around 300 million crypto owners, now we pretty much have double. Could you imagine just how much more dynamic this board could be? And I think the board is far from over, really. The way you take a look at it is that, sure, things could do, kind of bad in the short term, but it would make no sense for me to sell, first of all. And also, second of all, it would make no sense for me to just give up and stop accumulating because the way I take a look at it is that, let's say I want to buy this microphone, right? It's a Shure microphone, by the way. I think it looks pretty cool. Some people ask me why I hold it. It's because, when I put it on a stand, sometimes I talk too far. So then, I just like holding it like this. But even besides that, right? If let's say this was like, I don't know, $300, let's say, for whatever reason, right? And then someone's like, yeah, we like it. Then suddenly there's a discount where it becomes like $200 and suddenly people don't want it. Now, logically speaking, for me, I wouldn't think that the product is bad because there's a discount. I would actually want to jump into that because I would feel like, hey, if I loved it at $300, why wouldn't I love it at $200? So it's kind of no different here, really, when it comes to XPR. If I loved it back then, I'll love it even now. And I think that during this board, at the price of 25 cents, wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. I'm not giving up. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch you all in the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.